If you knew what your true yes was and what your true no was in all areas of your life, would you be able to choose faster and easier? What futures would those choices create? Everyone is capable of connecting to their bodies in a way to have more exuberant and joyful living now and in the future. Now, here is your host of Choosing a Different Future with Siris.
Hi everyone, I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is honoring those who have passed. The 2023 version, we did this call last year, so it's a sequel for y'all. And if you're new to our show, this show is all about talking about the things that maybe you can't really talk about with anybody else. Maybe it's something that you're interested in and you'd like to delve into and have more clarity and ease with. And we talk about the possibilities that are available to you that are beyond what has been projected and expected of you by anyone, including any of your past selves. We're going to be connecting with our past selves today as well. And this is coming from my experiences as a communication specialist. I'm a speech language pathologist and learning behavioral specialist. I do coaching that empowers people to have the communication in that they truly desire to have with ease in all of their relationships. And I'm also a therapeutic energy worker. And we're going to be playing around with the living and dying body process that I created today, which is all about you actually having the things that light you up and that give you exuberant living. So I'm going to be running that while we're listening together today, and that hopefully will help us have a lot more ease with this conversation. And I'll invite you to also do one of the hand movements if you'd like. Along with me. So make sure that you're watching this on video. If you'd like to see it, I will try to describe it as best as I can as well. And happy Halloween, because even though you're going to be listening to this on November 3rd onward, wherever in the future, right now I'm recording this on October 31st, Halloween, because I am going to be traveling and I'm going to be preparing for the next awakening class that we're having in Chicago on November 4th. So I didn't want you to miss out this week. I wanted you to have all these tools in your arsenal, and also for me to have ease too, because I get to have ease as well. So today's topic, choosing a different future today with you. I'm hoping that this topic will contribute. I did this episode and this topic last year, really first and foremost, selfishly for me, because I was having such a hard time with all the people that had passed last year and the years before. And there were more and more happening. And then I was talking to people about it, and they were like, I'm really having a hard time planning for the holidays. We did this episode right before Thanksgiving. And then it contributed to people as they were having Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. And we got some lovely messages. And I'm hoping that that'll be the case in a different way this year, because the world's different now, we're different now, so we'll see. But this is a very heartfelt sequel. I was so honored to get so many comments, so much feedback from people last year, and as soon as I was thinking about doing it again this year, it was an absolute yes in my world. I actually asked for people to send in messages. I was tenderly and very gratefully asking people to send in messages. And throughout our episode today, I'm going to be reading the messages that people sent in. Some of them anonymously sent in. Some of them, they said that it's okay to say their names. So I will honor what people have said around that. But I would love for us to celebrate the legacies of those who have touched our lives, those who we've loved, those who have passed away in 2023 or any other time. Even though we're calling this honoring those who passed in 2023, a lot of people thought, oh, then I can only mention people who have passed on this year. And no, this is just to distinguish it from last year's where we did it in 2022. But there's no timeline. There's no timeline to grief. There's no timeline to honoring those who have passed. There's no timeline to honoring you. So you're going to be hearing this from people, messages from people that they've had people who've died just this last couple of weeks. And you are going to be hearing from people who send in messages from people who have passed away, and pets also who have passed away many years ago. And the full gamut's here. And just one of the things I'd like for us to acknowledge is that there has been a lot of challenges in life. There's been illness, there's been loss, and sometimes we feel disconnected. And we feel like the people who have passed aren't connected to us anymore. And I'm going to posit the idea that maybe they haven't actually left us. Maybe our connection with them is just different than before. So the invitation to this episode, in addition to hearing these stories, sharing these energies, playing with the energies of the living and dying body process that will hopefully create some more space, some more ease in your body, in your reality, in your mental and emotional state. I also would like you to consider the possibility that you may still be connected to your loved ones and that they may be sending you messages as you are sending them messages. And how could you receive those messages in a gentler and kinder way? How have they already been showing up that you could acknowledge, and some ways that they're showing up that maybe you haven't acknowledged yet? Okay. And wherever you are at with this, it's okay. I've had over 17 people pass away in the last 3 years. And I'm asking to have more ease and not be like a number cruncher and make the number significant. It's just the energy of acknowledging it and being like, hey, I know that this is happening and it's going to keep happening. That's part of living. There's also those who pass. But I want to take a moment and acknowledge that I'm going to maybe be emotional on this episode with y'all. And so if you could be space with me as you're listening to this and be really tender and loving to yourselves while also staying with your bodies, give your bodies squeezes and hugs, I would really, really appreciate that. And some of you may not be able to hear this episode in totality, and that's okay. You may need to do it in pieces, take some breaks, come back, drink some water, go for a walk and come back. That is okay as well. Please give yourself permission to do that. I know that there are people that can't even hear the episode, but they sent their gratitude to me for creating this dialogue, for having this platform where people could send messages and people could get the contribution of these energies from me and from the living and dying body process. It's okay if you can't listen to this. And it's funny that I'm saying this out loud and you may not hear it. And yet for me personally, I feel like by me acknowledging that, at some level, you're receiving this energetically. Even those of you who aren't going to hear this and hear my voice with this, and that's okay. I have the belief that even when we're not actually seeing each other, we are connected. Even when you're not actually hearing someone's voice, you can perceive their energy, you can perceive their presence. And that's, I think, a lot of what is of comfort sometimes and also very challenging in other times, because you may get a piece of it. You may get the sense of their presence. You may have a smell. And then you're like, I want the rest of it, and I can't have the rest of it. And so sometimes even that little piece, some of us are not willing to or do not want to have because it makes us ache all the more for the rest of it that we're not able to have right now. And that's okay too. There are so many ways that the grief and this process can show up, and each of our journeys are different and are distinct. And I am not going to be one of those people that tells you that it should be any particular way. You're not going to hear that from me, because I don't think that would be respectful or honoring of you. And I am not okay with it when people tell me that about any area of my life. So that's not coming from me at all. Okay. Now, I am dedicating this episode to our past selves, our loved ones, and anyone else who has impacted us that has passed. It may be someone that you didn't really love, that you didn't really care for, that was a villain in your life, and yet they impacted you. And so I'm going to dedicate the episodes to them as well, because they did have an effect on your life. They did influence you in some way, hopefully to put you on a trajectory toward having more and more of the greatness of you. I'd also like this episode to be for those who would like to dissolve the sorrow or confusion, the upset, the sadness, anything that's heavy about wherever you are in your journey, so that you can have more of you. You can pave the way to a future that's brimming with ease and awaken to a life filled with exuberant living. And I'd like to remind you of the ways you're already honoring them, any of them, and yourself in your journey, and provide some additional loving, hopefully, nudges, okay? So that you can set yourself up to create a new way of connecting with them and yourself moving forward. Part of what happens to a lot of us as we're grieving is, as we start disconnecting or from this painful feelings, from the sadness, from this ache that we have, we don't want to feel the ache. We don't want to feel this sense of loss and just this difference. We don't want it to be different. We start to disconnect from ourselves. And that is such a disservice to us. And it's definitely not a way that most of our loved ones would want us to honor them. And so check in with yourself as I'm talking today, and stay with your body, please. Go ahead and give your body some gentle squeezes, firm, gentle squeezes every once in a while, especially if you notice that you're starting to float off, that you're starting to wander a little bit. When I start talking and you're like, wait, what was she talking about? And you may have spaced out for a moment, that's okay. It isn't for you to judge yourself. It's for you to notice, hey, I kind of left for a moment, and then choose again to come back, and choose again to reconnect, and choose again to have you and your body here. Okay. And it takes some practice sometimes for us to keep reconnecting and connecting again, because our bodies do shift with the grieving process. Our bodies do shift with the changes of the people that are in our lives, both the people that get added to our lives, that's the living, and the people that leave, their bodies that leave, that's the dying. So when we're playing with the living and dying body process, we're going to have one hand that is living, it doesn't matter which one, and we're going to have one hand that's dying. Living being the things that you add, the people that you add, the energies, the spaces that you add to your life to create more. And dying is the people, the things, the spaces, the energies that you let go of to create more. And don't get it twisted. I'm not telling you that you have to let go of the memories of your loved ones. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that you need to empty out your house of paraphernalia, of pictures, of anything like that. It's really what for each of us is going to create more. And what's going to create more for me is different than what's going to create more for you. And so it's really about getting in touch with that for yourself, and not trying to do what other people tell you should do, or what you've been seeing as other examples of people grieving that may or may not work for you and your body. So let's start with living, one hand, and dying, the other hand. And we're going to be crossing them over each other. It doesn't matter which hand is in front. And we do this two-hand spiral, this circular motion. And so I'm going to continue to do this as we're talking. You can join me and do this as well. I recommend for you to do this with your palms facing you, so you're running it on yourself. I'm doing it with my hands facing outward because I'm running it on everybody that is going to hear this episode in any time in the future. Okay? And I'm also willing to receive these energies as well. Don't you worry about that. I'm taking care of me here too. But this is really descended out to everyone here, everyone that can perceive this, anyone that's asking for this, so that they can have more ease. And then we have living and dying body process run. And we're just going to ask this to run as we talk. And just notice, as soon as I said that, how there may be a shift in your breathing, how there may be a softening in your body, and how much more ease and how much more space and breath can we create together over the course of this conversation. Okay? That is what I would like for all of us. All right. So as we're doing the 2-hand spiral, part of it too is that we'd like to make sure that we're having both the living, we're adding things, we're adding people, we're adding energy, and the letting go, both. And that also includes letting go of sadness. That's the dying part. It's not that we are inviting death in. We don't want to invite death in. That's what's going to keep us killing our bodies, contracting our worlds, keeping us sad. But what if we were willing to let go of the sadness? Oh, there's the dying. That's what I mean by dying. We're letting that dying go. We're letting that sadness go to create more. So I think it's particularly important for us to talk about this in the holiday season, but it's also, I want to make a note, and a couple people sent in, it's not just the holidays, it's all those momentous moments. It's anniversaries, it's weddings, it's when a child is born and that person that you were hoping to be there isn't there. When there's a birthday, right? Be it your birthday or your loved one's birthdays. All of those anniversaries can be friction points and also moments where you can grow in your journey of grief, where it doesn't have to be that it takes you down permanently. It might just be like a little bit of a for a moment, like, oh yeah, I just remembered. Those anniversaries can be tough. And what if you could run this on yourself in those moments to have more ease? What would that be like? All right, I think it's time for a break. Am I correct on that? I'm trying to track the time. Yeah, okay. So it's time for our first break. This has been a really weird energy day, y'all. So thank you for your patience with all of this, okay? You are listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss honoring those who have passed 2023. We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is honoring those who have passed 2023. And so before we went on break, we were discussing some of the reasons why it might be beneficial for us to consider this. Consider how we're honoring those who have passed. Consider how we're honoring ourselves during that process. And, I was talking with a friend earlier this week, and we were talking about how she's very hesitant to deep dive into talking about entities and spirits and ghosts. And I talk about entities and like my business is an entity and my home is an entity, and also the people that come to me and talk to me about things, and how my body's my best friend. And so that's another embodiment. There's another being that I'm talking to, another entity. And so I don't even think about it anymore, really. I used to worry about people thinking I was crazy or people thinking I was weird. And then I'm like, I am weird and I am different, and that's fine. And this is what's keeping me from going crazy. This is what's keeping me sane, to acknowledge that I'm not by myself, to acknowledge that I am getting messages and it's not me and it's not in my head. And also, it's a conversation with those people and not giving control over to those messages, to those voices, to those beings. And I remember the beginning of my journey with that. I think it was back in like 2006 or 2005, something like that. I'll have to ask my mom. She probably remembers. But we went to a Celebrate Your Life call and a Celebrate Your Life conference that they used to have in Rosemont, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. We went to my first one, and this is a convention that's full of mediums, that are full of inspirational speakers and innovators, and there's tarot card readers, and there's all these different kinds of readings you can get. You can get Reiki sessions. It's just so many different healers and energy workers there. It's this big conglomeration of awesome, and I just love the energy of that convention, and was so grateful to be in that vibration and to start having conversations about these different things that I hadn't really gotten a chance to talk to outside of some Reiki classes with some people. And so I went to this event and I signed up for a class. I looked up at some of the workshops that they were having, and James Van Prague was there, and he was doing an introduction to mediumship class. And I was like, what's mediumship? And I was really interested in that. I was like, I feel like I've heard about that a little bit before, but I'm not so sure. So I went to this class, and it was hundreds of people, this huge like ballroom space, right? And he's out in the front on this stage, in this raised stage, kind of like the ones you'd see in a high school with like the curtains, except he had the curtains open. And he's up in front, and he's telling me one story after the other. Well, not just me, the whole group, but it felt like he was talking to me, right? And it's a really good speaker. And he was telling all these stories about mediumship that he's done all around the world, mediumship of all different kinds, from getting messages while writing and having some conscious writing where the person or the entity, the spirit, is communicating through your hand, to visually, to smelling certain things, to seeing certain things. There's all these different mediumships. And so he guided us through this really cool exercise that I will never forget. And we were paired off. We each chose somebody that we didn't know to pair off with. And I wish I could remember the name of the person I was paired off, but I remember her being very gentle in her energy and just really sweet. And me being my gregarious self, I was like, hey, how's it going? Da, da, da. And we're talking away, and then we start doing this exercise. And he asks us to imagine and connect with somebody that has passed, so that our partner could receive messages on our behalf through mediumship, being guided through this exercise by him. And at first I was like, I can't really think of anybody that's passed, right? It was totally drawing a blank. And how many of you, when you were thinking about, well, who is really passed that I'm like still thinking about, maybe you drew a blank too? I had a total derp moment. I did, y'all. And then all of a sudden we go through the exercise, we still go through the motions, and I was like, well, let's see what happens. I'm not really able to think about anybody. And I think I came up with my great aunt who had passed at that point. I was like, oh yeah, maybe her. And then I get this smell. It's this like chantilly lace, like talcum powder that my grandmother used to have, my paternal grandmother, Ana, Abuela Ana. And she would bathe me, and then she would cover me all over with this talcum powder that had this certain perfume to it. And I started smelling it as I felt these arms wrap around me from behind. And I closed my eyes and I just started bawling because I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot about you. Oh, please forgive me. And it was so obviously her on every level. And I could feel her skin. She had this this very particular texture to her cheek as she was hugging me here, and her arms, and then the smell. It was a multi-sensory experience. And that was my first recollection of a mediumship experience like that. And I was like, if this is mediumship, if this is connecting with entities, this is so cool. I'll have some more of this. And so I started exploring that. I started leaning into this more. And it wasn't like I didn't have all these representations of ghosts and horror stories and thrillers and things like that. I was a big movie buff, and I still am. I've stopped watching horror movies, but back then I was still watching a lot of them. And yet, unlike those movies, I knew, not just because of this experience, but that was very validating, that there was so much more that could be positive. There was so much more that I could connect to and know and explore by talking to the unseen, by perceiving it and acknowledging it. And then I had that experience with her, and I've had so many hundreds and hundreds of experiences since then. And it just further confirms for me, like, yes, this is something that's possible. And it's such a contribution to me and my body, to my mental, emotional health, for me to connect this way. And it's been such an honor too, because I've been able to connect with other people on behalf of those who wanted to have a connection, and they're not quite there yet in their perception. And they'll ask for energy work sessions, and sometimes they'll come through. Like recently, I was talking to a friend who was having a very hard time, and I was giving her a Reiki session, and I hadn't done Reiki in at least it's over a year. Usually the people are asking me to do other types of sessions, but she specifically asked for Reiki, and her grandmother came, and then her godmother came, and then her grandmother's best friend showed up. And it was so cool because this isn't always the case, but in this session, they were so loud, and they were so like loud energetically. They weren't like audibly loud. And they were so clear in how they were sending me the pictures of them, that I could clearly tell her. And they had this type of hair, and they had these type of clothes, and then they were saying these things to you. And she was like, oh, that's obviously this, that's obviously that person. And it was so awesome, because you could see that she was totally surprised that they had come through so clearly to me. She was not expecting that out of the session. What she had been dealing with was not related to them. But one of the things that happened in the session was they wanted her to know, that she wasn't alone, that I see you. I see what you're doing out here. I see your goals and your dreams coming to fruition. I see you hustling. I see you doing the work. I see that you graduated from school, like all these different things. They wanted her to know that they were there celebrating her. And it was emotional, as you can imagine. It was really emotional and so beautiful. And to be there, to create that space where they felt they could come through, and for her to be able to receive and connect with them more. And then that it propelled her to talk to other family members that are still alive, that still have bodies, that knew them. And that added to her sense of support here on this planet. So that was part of the messages that were coming through, like to reach out to your circle, to not do all this stuff alone. We're here with you, and there are people here on this planet that are looking and would be eager to support you. And so I wonder how many of us that's the case for as well, that we could actually honor those who have passed by increasing our network, by adding, that's the living, adding in more people, reconnecting with those people that we've been connected to in the past, reconnecting to ourselves, right? All of these things. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So for you, who are the people that you'll be honoring, or that you have been honoring, that have passed at any time? Is it grandparents, exes? Is it someone that died through illness? Is it someone that died through suicide, abortions, miscarriages, friends, colleagues? Okay. There we go. Just notice that, and notice, are they here? And so for all of them that are here and have been visiting me all day in preparation of me recording this broadcast for y'all, hi. Hello. Thank you for adding in your energy and making sure that this broadcast still works, because the electronics were a little wonky before we started recording. So thanks for backing off enough for us to do this with ease. And I hear you and I perceive you and I'm here for it. All right. All right. Oh my gosh. Yes. So our producer saying that she's freezing. I have been freezing all day. And that's one of the ways that it shows up when there's a lot of entities. For me, for some of my colleagues and friends and family, they feel it like tickling, like soft caresses or like fabric breeze on their hair. Sometimes I feel like an itchiness on my hair, like in my face. So it's like this is where they're trying to get my attention. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it might be a full house today. And why wouldn't it be? There have been a lot of people that have passed, even our ancestors. It doesn't have to be just this year, like I said. And so if we're willing and they're answering the call, let's say hi. Let's say hi. All right, lovelies. It's time for our next break. You're listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss honoring those who have passed 2023. We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is honoring those who have passed 2023. And our show is brought to you by Protanden's Tri-Synergizer. Take advantage of the important contribution from every Protandan supplement. You get comprehensive benefits, including support for healthy aging, optimal cellular energy, improved mental focus, and healthy longevity. It's a level of benefits you can only get from teamwork. The Protandan family of products works by activating your body's pathways to enhance its own functions. The result of this triple tier approach is our most powerful solution. And you can check out this episode's page or go to sirisrivas.lifevantage.com to find out more information. I've personally been taking this product for over 5 years, and it's been amazing for me and my family. Everybody in my family takes it, and it's been really helpful for us to have more energy, for us to have more health as we are grieving, so that we do not have this affect our physical health as much as it could. So very, very grateful for Tri-Synergizer for that. And just like you heard, we're going to be in Chicago on November 4th. When you hear this, it'll be the next day, tomorrow, and yet you can still join, and you can join us live streaming anywhere you are in the world or in person in Chicago. The class is from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time, Chicago time. And it's the awakening class with the theme Coming Home to You, where you get to learn the living and dying body process that we're playing with today. And now I'm getting hiccups. How fun is that? You can also join our Expansive Energies Self-Care membership group. The theme for November is gratitude and growth. So we're going to be exploring what we could be grateful for and how we can grow through gratitude. through the month of November. And the information for the group is at empoweringlightlanguage.com/expansive energies. So before we went on break, we were talking about some of the people we might be wanting to honor and respect. And I want to read some of the things that were sent in by our listeners. Let me look up here. Okay. So as I'm reading this, go ahead and have the loved one's energies with you, your loved one's energies with you, have their memories with you, and stay with your body. Okay. As I've been activating the energies of the living and dying body process in your body, it's connecting me with your body and with all the bodies of the other listeners, and also with your loved ones at an energetic level. And so what this can do is it can stimulate more flow, more clarity, more ease, and more space. And whatever else you'd like it to create, would you like to add in as the living part? Add in that. Okay. So as I mentioned, there's a couple people who sent in messages. One person here, this is an anonymous submission. This is for grandparents. All of them have passed many years ago. If I could advise my kid self, it would be to tell her to ask for stories of them growing up, coming to this country, of distant relatives, etc. I would listen more to their stories and advice, even if I knew I was never going to use it because I knew better. Laugh. Ha ha ha. Love you all and thank you for being you so I could be here being me. Oh, what a lovely message to her grandparents. All right, so we're going to add in her grandparents' energies to this process that we've been running. And just notice if you notice a difference in your body, what do you perceive? And let's read another one. Another anonymous submission. This is for a grandparent as well. Thank you for what you brought to the world. And this person said that they received the living and dying body process and it helped them process some difficulties that I was facing at the time. So helped process some difficulty I was facing at the time. Yeah. Thank you for that. We're going to add in your grandparent and your gratitude. So much gratitude here. Thank you. All right. Someone else anonymously sent in. This is for Papa Paul. Papa Gran is doing okay. This is getting me emotional. This one's getting me. Woo. Gran is doing okay. She's getting back into routine and groove. And we cheered on the Cubs for you this summer. They won. 2 hearts. All right. Thank you so much for that. I'm not sure why that got me, but I think that's the whole piece of like, there's so many people who have passed that they're still connected with us. And they are checking in and they just want us to be happy and they just want us to be okay. And so many people stop themselves from passing with ease and they suffer their way out because they're so worried about who will be left behind and if they're going to be okay. I know that was the case for my abuela Raquel, for my grandmother Raquel, who I'm named after. She really was constantly wringing her hands and worrying aloud about her sons. And he's like, how is so-and-so going to pay the house? And how is so-and-so going to be okay with his wife? And what's going on with the kids? And all these different, and she would just be so worried that if she wasn't around, everything was going to go to crap. And that wasn't the case. There's definitely a big transition. There was definitely some upheavals, but that wasn't going to be any different if she had been around. They were going to come one way or the other at some point. And so, yeah, that really hit me. The person that sent that to your Papa Paul. Thank you for that. Brendan W sent in a message here for Nelson Wallace and Alexander Lee. I honor them by helping those that I can because I can. Thank you. I guess that your loved ones were big helpers and very much people of service in their community and to their families. Let's add their energies in. We're going to add in Papa Paul. We're going to add in Nelson Wallace and Alexander Lee, and just notice what you perceive with that. And breathe, everybody. Notice your breathing. Don't hold your breath. We want more breathing to have exuberant living. I know, shocking. breath is involved in living. What? All right. Okay. I got a picture sent in, so I'm gonna pull up the picture because Karen C sent me from New Zealand a picture of her mom. Where is it here? Okay. And I want to be looking at this picture as I talk about this. It was her memorial announcement, her funeral service announcement with her picture. And this is for Mom Patty, Patiliva Pea. She lived from June 20th of 1934 to February 20th of 2021. And I got to meet her in Auckland, New Zealand. That's why Karen was like, I want you to just say some words on her behalf because you had so much joy with her and you got to meet her. So Karen asked me to go up and see and hang out with her family while I was traveling through New Zealand. And it was such an honor to meet her family, her extended family that was up in Auckland. And then I got to spend 3 glorious days, just me and her mom, hanging out, and we were singing songs and playing, and she was playing the ukulele. And it was one of my highlight moments of me traveling around the world by myself. And I got to learn about her life. She was sharing all these stories. She had lived a life. She was so loved by so many people. Had so many adventures, and was still a wonderful musician, had a lovely voice. And so I would sing some songs in Spanish with her because she was very fascinated to hear some of the songs from my culture. And then she shared some of hers as well. And it was just so lovely. It was just one of those wonderful moments. And she was such a beautiful soul and such a wonderful person, and it was so easy, when you meet somebody and even though they're new to you, they're not really new to you, and it was just so easy to pass the time with her for hours. And we just got to sometimes just be there listening to music next to each other, or she would string the ukulele a little bit and I would just hum a little bit, and there was nothing forced about it. And I would love to see more of that in the world. So Patty, if you could hear this, thank you for that. And I hope you're good wherever you are. And if you have chosen a new body, have that new body come find me, okay? So we could go and sing and dance together again. That would be really nice. And that's one of the things you can do, y'all, if you'd like. You can ask for your loved ones to find a new body if they're ready, and have them come and find you. And what would it take for you to recognize them when you see them again in this new form? I had a couple friends do that and ask for their pets to find them in a new body after they pass. And I'm thinking of you, Caroline. I just found out that my friend Caroline's cat, Tallulah, just died this week. So sending you a lot of big hugs. I know that you and Tallulah were very close, and maybe that's something for you to consider. And so, yeah, I think it was a cat, this friend that I'm thinking of as well, but I've had so many people that have done this now, where they found another pet and it was like, oh my gosh, it's the same energy, the same tricks, the same, like behaviors and stuff. I was like, wow, as her previous pet. And it doesn't have to be cat to cat. It could be cat to dog, or dog to lizard, or, or dog to person. I don't know. They can choose their bodies. So I think that's pretty awesome. Also today, I found out that my friend's dad passed away on October 22nd. And so I'm going to add both of those energies that we just talked about, Patty and my friend's dad, here. And my friend is saying that there is a part of me that's avoiding it to a certain degree. And all I said was, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. And that's okay. You don't have to look at this. You don't have to address this. You don't have to do any particular thing as a part of your grieving process. If that's where you're at, it's where you're at. That's what, less than a week, less than 10 days ago, It's fresh. It's okay. It's okay. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some space with it. All right. Whew. Whoo-wee. Yes. So another grandma, another message to a grandparent says, I miss you so much, and I will surely make you proud from over here. Please watch over me. Yeah. And are you willing to perceive how she's already watching over you? Let's add in her energy as well. Thank you for the beautiful message. All these beautiful messages. Wonderful. All right, we got one more to my great grandmother, little mama. This is from Justin. I would like to say hi, and I hope she is truly enjoying herself. One moment. Okay. Woo. Expanding. I gotta check my breathing now too, y'all. Woo. Let's run some more. All right. We're adding in Justin's great grandma, little mama. I'm gonna start the message again. It says, I would like to say hi, and I hope she is truly enjoying herself with all of her old friends and family that passed before her. I will continue to live my life and enjoy the time I have left to the best of my ability. I love you. Thank you for that, Justin. I was fortunate to meet little mama before she passed and got to go to her funeral, they did a wonderful job in her funeral. And man, her and my grandmother, Raquel, would have gotten along so well. You know, if they could figure out a way to talk to each other through some of the language challenges, I think they would have been just best friends. They were both pioneers and amazing cooks and feisty and just really smart. And yeah, it just really an inspiration. So thank you for that. All right, lovelies, it is time for our next break. How y'all doing? Woo! Give yourself another squeeze, another hug from me, all right? So you're listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss honoring those who have passed 2023. We'll be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you. This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic has been honoring those who have passed 2023, where we have been talking about how we can honor ourselves and our loved ones, those who have impacted our lives that have passed in 2023 and any other time. And I was just reading some messages that our listeners sent in. Thank you again to everybody that sent in such beautiful messages and adding in your loved ones and your own energy to this discussion, to the Living and Dying Body Process session that we were all running together and receiving together. One of the other things that I wanted to share was actually that the acknowledgement that it's not always happy memories, that it's not always gratitude that shows up sometimes, and it's not always sweetness and things like that when you think of our loved ones, even if there were some positives mixed in there. And I actually had recently, when we were talking about, I think it was the ancestral wisdom was the theme for October in our expansive energies group. We are looking at at honoring our ancestral wisdom and awakening those ancestral wisdom. And very clearly, we are doing a conscious card reading session as part of our group therapeutic energy work. And one of the cards that came up, I'm going to show you this here, is the goddess Isolt for undying love. And underneath, you can see the love you have shared is eternal, regardless of the situation, right here. And so I was playing around with this, and part of what happens with the goddess Isolt is that it's also about that the person isn't suffering anymore, and that as they've shifted and transitioned. And I was so overcome because I actually got really, like, it really hit me how much we're receiving from them, even though they don't have bodies anymore, and how much they're receiving from us. So think about it this way. If they do choose to have a body again, then them watching us and what we're doing may plant a seed in their consciousness that will allow them to create a totally different life that they wouldn't have considered otherwise, because we're being an example, we're being a model to them. And that was one of those things that showed up for me, was like, oh shoot, like one of the things that wasn't just a sweetness or a gratitude was like the pressure. Like I was putting so much pressure on myself after my grandmother passed away, the last grandmother that passed away, Raquel. I was thinking I had to live up to all these things that I had told her I was going to do. And where's the question in that? Where are the choice in that? What if I wanted to change what I wanted to do? I was starting to think about, oh man, well, I don't want her to disappoint her. I don't want to not live with integrity and not do the things I said I was going to do. And by living with integrity is also doing the things I said I was going to do, like honoring myself and honoring my inner knowing and being willing to change and pivot and transform if something's not working and it's something else is going to create greater. Living, adding the things that create greater, dying, letting go of the things that create greater. And so I had to let go of this pressure that I was putting on myself to be a certain way, to honor her a certain way, to go through any type of action and motion thinking that she was asking for that. I think that one of the greatest gifts I can give her and give to myself as I'm still grieving her, as I'm still looking for ways to honor her, is to be really, really honest with myself and be really, really honest with the life I'd truly like to have. And it may be different than the one that I talked to her about. And that is okay. That is okay. And so I wanted to have the goddess Isolt and her undying love message contribute to y'all as well as it contributed to me and the members of the Expansive Energies group. Big shout out to the Expansive Energies group. Thank you for providing the space for that to come through so beautifully. There are a lot of mixed messages with grief, and it's not any one thing, and that is okay if it's not always positive or pleasant. The good, the bad, the ugly, the awesome is a part of it, and allow yourself to flow through that. Okay. I hope this episode contributed to you. This is our last live episode, this last episode where it's a new content of this year. The next ones will be replays, but check them out because you might not have seen them before, and it might be worthwhile for you to check them out again if you've heard them before. The next episode we're going to have is talking about the birds and the bees and the conversations that we had or did not have about the birds and the bees when we were growing up. And if you'd like to have more ease with having those conversations with the people in your lives, you're going to definitely want to check those out. And share this episode with anybody that you think would benefit from receiving the energies of the living and dying body process. Go ahead and reach out to me to receive a session or any of our other living and dying body process ambassadors. And I hope to see you in a future class or in a future session, in a future moment somewhere in the world. Thank you so, so much, everyone. Be kind to your bodies, be kind to yourselves. And I hope to see you in the new year fresh. But enjoy these upcoming replays for the rest of the year. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Choosing a Different Future show. Siris returns Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, keep choosing what will work for you and your body, your own unique way honoring what will work for you.